Welcome everyone. I'm Elena Serrano. I'm hosting this next session for us as part of our World Workplace Wellbeing Global Summit. And in this conversation, we are joined by Dr. Keren Tsuk, who will be discussing the topic of mindfulness-based leadership. Keren is a keynote speaker, consultant, and thought leader in 21st century leadership. She's also the author of the book, Mindfully Wise Leadership, and the host of the Mind Your Leadership podcast. I just love that name. Her consultancy, Wisdom to Lead, specializes in developing senior management teams and corporate leadership. And Keren helps companies and teams reach their full potential using mindfulness techniques. So Keren, we're grateful to have you here. This is a topic near and dear to my heart, so I'm super excited to hear you and have this conversation. I'm going to pass it on to you.
Great, thank you, and good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're located in the world. So yes, today we will speak about mindfulness-based leadership. As Elinette said, I have my consulting company called Wisdom to Lead. In the last 20 years, I'm working with leading firms and managers to promote change and growth. And I'm actually combining the mindfulness aspect with the leadership and business world. So this is my background, and this is what I will bring to the table today. So I want to start and talk about the challenges we encounter nowadays. So first of all, we all literally feel the brutality, the vocal reality that we are living in, right? It's actually feels like it started in the coronavirus transformation when we went out of quarantine, back to quarantine, started working remotely, needed to embrace new techniques and work processes. And it actually continues. Unfortunately, we're seeing now in the Middle East unpleasant times and uncertainties and in the world. And we need to really find in these challenging times an anchor within ourselves, to not be moved in the wind of change, and to find the anchor and work from this place and from this present. And again, this reality also increases a lot of unpleasant feelings within ourselves that we need to work with them and not be managed by them. So I think this is the first challenge that we all feel really strong nowadays. The second challenge is called the wandering mind. In the Buddhism, it's called the monkey mind. What does it mean? It means that we continuously thinking, right? We're thinking about the past, about the present, about the future. If I did it right, if I did it wrong, criticizing ourselves. Our mind is working. Two researchers from Harvard conducted a research, and they were exploring how much of our waking time we are in this state of mind, of wandering mind. And they found that approximately 50% of our time, 47% of our time, we are in our thought, that we are in our mind, in our wandering mind, in our stories that we are telling ourselves. And actually, this research conducted before coronavirus transformation. So I really believe that if this research would have conducted today, the numbers would have been much more higher, right? Because we are really in the midst of really troubling times. Another interesting data shows that 70% of the leaders report that they can't be attentive in the meeting. Do you know this feeling that your body sits really well on the chair in a meeting or a session or whatever, but your mind is far, far away? This is actually the wandering mind, and I believe that actually this is a few of you feel as I speak. Literally, this is the wandering mind, right? That we are here sitting with our body, but our minds occupied with different thoughts and things, and is not present in the moment. So this is a challenging thing that we as human beings have to cope with our mind, with our wandering mind, thinking all day long. Another interesting data shows that as we are more in this state of wandering mind, we are less happy. Because think about it, usually what thought runs through our mind? Negative thought, right? Criticizing ourselves, judging ourselves. But the interesting data they found in this research, that even that we think a natural thought, it decreases our happiness. So I said, it's a pity, life are short, we want to be happy and enjoy them. So this is really a challenge that we all encounter as human beings. Another challenge that I want to refer to is the leadership aspect. You know, we see it in the workplace, and we see it also out of the workplace nowadays, different places. Leadership is changing. The traditional leadership is a leadership that's based on hierarchical relationships, on titles, on the structure of the company. I'm the boss to do what I'm telling you, do what I tell you. It's like based on external source of power. But you know, now in this new times, the new generation, the Y generation, the Z generation actually entered the workplace and said, okay, very nice, we want to be part of it, but we don't want to play these rules. We want to change the world. We want to have an impact on the world. We want to do something meaningful. We want to find the right integration between our personal life and professional life. So we want to change the rules. And this is actually requires us as leaders, as managers, to move from the external source of power to our internal source of power, to really be able to engage people from a deeper place, to create relationships based on trust and partnerships, and to have a lot of communication, transparent communication. So we actually need to move from the external source of power to our internal source of power and enlarge our ability to interact with other people. And beyond this, the leadership nowadays is a social process. We're moving toward the social process because, as I see it, each and every one of us is a leader. I can be a leader of a conference that I want to promote, of an idea, of a team, of a group, it doesn't matter, of a company. And every time another person is a leader and we are the followers, and afterwards I'm the leader and the other followers. So it's kind of a social process. It's not anymore the one manager or lead the company. Yes, there is the CEO, but he can't do it alone anymore. So each and every one of us is a leader. And for me, leadership is not a title. It's the attitude for the place where I'm working. So based on this, I claim that the way to lead nowadays is by self-management. What does it mean, self-management? It means the ability to manage our internal world. It's my ability to manage my thoughts, my emotions, my time. It's kind of leading by example, right? Because if I'm a manager or a leader and I set meetings and I always late to my meeting, apparently my employees won't come on time next time, right? Because I don't respect myself. Why should they respect me? So it's starting by managing our internal sources and world. And my claim that the foundation of our ability to manage our internal world is based on mindfulness. So what is mindfulness? I always like to start with the classical definition and go to my definition. So the classical definition of Dr. John Kabat-Zinn is the ability to be in the here and now, fully present and in a non-judgmental state of mind. Kind of, if I'm present now with you, I'm fully here with my mind, with my heart, with my body, present in this moment with you. And my definition, based on my research and expanding a little bit the mindfulness definition, classical mindfulness definition for mindfulness, is actually the ability to be aware of an experience that I'm going through. It can be a thought that runs through my mind, an emotion that I'm feeling, a process that I'm going through in a non-judgmental way and without being managed by it. You know, I love to explain it by examples because it really clarifies the definition. So let me give you an example. I always go back to this one because I have a lot of them, but I think this is the best. So as I said, I didn't say at the beginning, there was a period that I was teaching in Poly University in Hong Kong, and I was flying a lot to Hong Kong. And one of the flights of my trips was really intensive trip because I also taught there like 10 hours in the master degree. And afterwards, I was with a colleague there, and we crafted a presentation for a potential client that we wanted to succeed with. And as we started the presentation, I asked him a naive question about the setting of the presentation. And as I asked him, he lost it, and he talked to me in a really unpleasant manner. And I was really offended in this moment. And at the same time, I didn't understand what occurred there. I didn't understand what happened that he talked to me in this way. And at this moment, we were both smart and we said, okay, let's take a break for an hour. And as I moved from this situation, stepped back from the situation, I felt the unpleasant feeling that I felt, but I tried to figure out what happened, the bigger context, because I couldn't figure it out. And then I understood. I understood that when I'm stressed out, I like to ask questions. It let me feel in control. I'm laughing because nobody actually has in control, but it feels like I'm in control. And then I understood that my colleague was also stressed out. But versus me, that I asked questions, he contained it inside of him, contained. And what happened at the end? It erupted like a volcano. He stressed. And then the stress managed him and made him act to me in the way he acted. So once I understood it, I said, okay, now we already have 1 hour and we wanted to succeed with potential clients. So I decided that I won't start talking with him about how we act out each other, because he can't contain it right now, and I want to gain anything from it. So I decided to be professional in the coming hour to craft the presentation, do the presentation, and after the presentation in the meeting, to have a conversation with him about coordinating the expectation, how we should act out each other, etc. And actually, this is what happened. So we also succeeded with the presentation with the potential client. And afterward, we had a really difficult conversation, but in a paradoxical way, it increases the trust between us, because we actually talked about what's important for us and how we're going forward. And actually, what mindfulness is, the moment that I felt inconvenient from the way he acted toward me, I took a deep breath and decided what to do with it. Because mindfulness is actually the space between the stimulation and the response. And once I brought up this space, I have a free choice to choose my behavior, right? Otherwise, when someone shouts at me, instinctively I shout back, right? I'm on the fight or flight mode. I don't have control of my behavior. I act upon my emotions, upon the triggers that happen to me. So mindfulness is the ability to create the space, connect to my feeling, and decide how to act with it. And I do want to say something important. In this example, it's not that I disconnected from my emotions. I suppressed them all in and continued business as usual for my mind. Because this is not mindfulness, actually. Mindfulness is the ability to be connected to my full experience as a human being, but manage my emotions instead of being managed by them. And you know what I know in my soul, and I see it in the workplace, in the Western world, we learn as human beings to disconnect from our emotions, from our sensations. And actually today, in this era that we are living, that the technology increases at the speed of light, as human beings, this is what will differentiate us from the technology. All the traits that are connected to our heart, they are traits like compassion, empathy, passion, creativity, and we need these traits. So the mindfulness piece actually helps us connect back to our emotions, to our sensation, to our full humanity, but it's a tool for us to manage ourselves instead of being managed by it. I want to show you another video that shows it very nicely what I said right now. So let me close the slide and I'll put the video on.
And I want to go ahead and remind anyone that is online who wants to put any comments on the chat or ask any questions, please go ahead and do so. We'll eventually get to them.
Put in the video.
Are you initiating the video, Keren?
You can see it?
Mm-mm.
Just a minute. I think I won't be able to share it because it didn't let me share the sound. Let me try again, share the presentation, and if not, we'll skip it. No, it doesn't allow me. So we'll skip the video because actually it doesn't, I put it on the you can see it on my, you can see the video now?
Okay, now it's there. Yeah.
Ah, okay. So I start from the beginning. It's okay? Okay, I understand that you couldn't hear the voice. So let's
Yeah.
skip, sorry, let's skip the video because it doesn't work. As I said, it didn't let me, it didn't let me share the screen, the sound. So let's skip the video. So I want to clarify the definitions about mindfulness. So mindfulness is a state of mind that I'm also connected to my own experience. And at the same time, I'm connected to the broader picture. My ability to move between these two realms and choose freely my behavior, this is a mindfulness state of mind. You know, when I work with leaders and managers, usually I ask them questions, I give them another perspective. I actually enable them to enlarge their perspective. You know, usually it reminds me the animals after a surgery going with the scars on their head, right? So usually this is how we live in life. We feel a feeling, an emotion, and it colors our reality. And when we increase our mindfulness in the day-to-day, we increase the ability to see the broader picture and at the same time to be connected to my own experience. But then I have this space between my personal emotion or feeling and the broader picture, and I can choose how to act with it. Another technique that helps us to be in this state of mind is the meditation, actually. The meditation is a tool that creates the brain agility and helps us to be in this state of mind. There are more than 6,000 published scientific studies that shows that mindfulness have an impact on us in 3 areas of our life. It impacts our health, our happiness, and it changes our brain for the better. How does it change our brain for the better? If till the middle of the 20th century, scientific thought that we get to an age in which our brains stop changing and adapting, in the middle of the 20th century, they find the neuroplasticity. And they found that our brain does continue to change and create new patterns and let go of old ones that doesn't serve us anymore. So, you know, as we talked about the VUCA reality and we're living it, we need to be agile, right? We need to change, to learn new skills, to create new things, processes. Otherwise, we won't be relevant. So we want to be agile, that our brain will be agile and to change and behaviors and processes and be relevant. So now I will share with you one research about the mindfulness, and then we'll have a practice, we'll have a meditation practice. So I mentioned Dr. John Kabat-Zinn at the beginning. So actually, Dr. John Kabat-Zinn is a professor emeritus in health. And in 1979, he came to the hospitals and asked them to refer to him patients that they feel they can't help them anymore with their chronic pain, with their anxiety, and with their stress. And he actually developed a mindfulness-based stress reduction protocol course. What does it contain? It contains 8 meetings of 2.5 hours meditations and a half-day retreat. Retreat is a condensed time of meditation. So a protocol of 8 weeks, 2.5 hours meditation and half-day retreat. And they started bringing patients that they really couldn't deal with anymore and help them. And it made miracles. It really decreased their stress, their anxiety, the chronic pain. Today's protocol known in more than 200 hospitals and clinics around the world. So one research to exemplify what does it mean, they took a group of people they never meditate before. And they went through an MRI. After the MRI, they divided them to 2 groups, the control group and the experimental group. The control group didn't go through this MBSR course versus the experimental group who went through the 8 weeks MBSR course of meditation. Afterwards, they went again through the MRI, both of the groups. And what they found, that the people who went through the experimental group went through the 8 weeks of the MBSR course, their brain changed for the better. How did it change? The part that's connected to the amygdala, that's connected to the instinctive behavior, the stress, anxiety, the activity was decreased there. This is versus the advanced part of the brain that's connected to emotional regulation and seeing the context and much more. The activity increased there. And beyond this, the connection between these 2 parts was blurred. So people could make better decisions after only 8 weeks of practice and meditation. So this is one of the research. As I told you, there's a lot of research nowadays that shows the impact, the positive impact of embracing mindfulness in our day-to-day. So now, because, it's nice to understand it, but at the end of the day, it's a practice. I want to lead you into a meditation practice, a body scan meditation. So I wanted to put music, but I understand we can't use the music, so we'll do it only by my talking. So let me start with the gong. I do invite you to sit comfortably on the chair and let your eyes close. Be aware of your body. Feel the intensity of your body. Now pay attention to the fact that you are breathing. Pay attention to the sensation of your breath. Breathing slowly through your nose. And take it slowly out through your mouth. Take a few more deep breaths through your nose and slowly through your mouth. In this practice, we'll go over different parts of our body. Maybe you will feel strong sensations, emotions. I invite you in this practice to enable them to be exactly as they are in this moment, without trying to change anything, and without judging if it's good or bad. Only put your curious attention to whatever occurs in this specific moment. If thoughts come during the meditation, during the practice, acknowledge the thought, give it a place, and slowly let it go with your breath. And bring your attention back to the here and now. Now I invite you to bring your attention to your shoulders. See if you can feel the sensations around your shoulders. Maybe they're aching, maybe they're stressful. And just enable it to occur exactly as it is in this moment, without trying to change anything and without judging if it's good or bad. Now, slowly move your attention to your hands, to the palm of your hands. Feel the palm of your hands touching the chair with your feet. Now, slowly bring your attention to your bottom. Feel your bottom sits on the chair. Feel the groundness of your body and the support of the chair in your body. See if you can just let go and be attentive in this specific moment. Now move your attention to your thigh, to your legs. Feel your foot touching the ground. Again, feel your physical body. If the thoughts come during the meditation and you catch your mind wandering, acknowledge the thought, give it a place, and slowly bring back your attention to this present moment, to your foot. Now, slowly move your attention to your spine. Go along your spine and feel the sensation along your spine. Is it stressed? Is it aching? Maybe it's in ease. Just put a curious attention. Now slowly bring your attention to your heart. See if you can hear your heart beating. And if you can't hear it, it's also okay. Now slowly we'll move our attention to our belly. And be curious to whatever emotions and sensation arise in your belly right now. Maybe there's enjoyment, maybe curiosity, maybe a feeling of sadness, of depression. Maybe something is aching in your body, in your stomach. Maybe a shivering, tiredness. Just be curious to whatever occurs in this specific moment without trying to change anything and without judging if it's good or bad. Just bringing your curious attention. Now you can see if your body wants your attention in different part of your body. So just take your attention to this part of your body and be curious. Put a gentle and curious attention to whatever arises within your body in this specific moment. Now you're invited to take a few more deep breaths. Slowly move your attention to your throat and neck. Feel the sensation around your throat and neck. Now slowly move your attention to the front of your head, to your cheeks, mouth, nose. Take a few more deep breaths through your mouth, through your nose and out through your mouth. Slowly bring your attention to your eyes. And when you are ready, you're invited to open your eyes and slowly bring your attention back to the here and now. So this is actually was a body scan meditation, and there's a lot of various kinds of meditation, but at the end of the day, the invitation is to really be present within our body and let our mind wander, see the thought, bring attention back to the here and now. So I do want to conclude with the benefits of embracing the mindfulness in the day-to-day, and then we'll open it for questions. So actually, when we embrace the mindfulness in the day-to-day, it impacts our lives in three areas. First of all, it increases our self-awareness, it impacts our relationships and our work performance. How does it impact our self-awareness? It helps us, first of all, get out of our automatic behaviors. You know, each and every one of us has a lot of automatic behaviors that we act upon and we're not aware of them. But once we will practice the ability to pause and to really be attentive and listen to what's happening in the moment, we will have a free choice to choose differently. So let's take a really example from the day-to-day. You know, I'm working in the workplace and I have a colleague that every time I see him, touches my buttons and my body gets contracted and I get angry and, you know, my emotions and sensation manage me. I can't listen to him because I'm really stressed out. But, you know, if I will pause for a moment and I would ask myself, why are you always reacting like this when you see him? And maybe I will understand that the way he talks to me makes me feel unpleasant. Maybe the timing, he always finds me with other people and talks in front of my employees and I don't feel comfortable with it. So then I have a free choice and I can say, okay, you know, Jared, I will really be happy to talk with you. Can we set a meeting? So now actually I acted out of my automatic behavior, right? And now when I will come to the meeting, I will be calmer. I can really listen to him because I'm not afraid of the way he will act to me toward other people, in front of other people. And now I can really listen to him versus the automatic behavior that I'm not really listening to him. And now maybe I'm sitting with him and talking with him, and we share a client. And I'm trying to figure out stuff, how to act with the client for a long time, and I can't figure it out. And only by listening now to Jared really mindfully, I have an epiphany how to act with this client. And it helps me go forward with the client. So you can see, only by acting a little bit differently out of my automatic behavior, I can gain different results. So the ability to really pause and decide how to act, to be mindful, enables us to gain the results that we want. Otherwise, we're acting upon our emotions, upon our sensations, upon reality, instead of being acting actively. As we saw and research showed that it also increases our resilience, our ability to find the actor and our center and act in adversity and challenging times. It increases our well-being and helps us make better decisions. In the realm of the relationships, you know, when we practice the mindfulness, it physiologically changes our brain for the better and increases parts of our brain that's connected to empathy and compassion. So it also enables us, as we practice more mindfulness, to be more acceptance of ourselves. Okay, it doesn't mean that I'm not demanding and I don't want to evolve and grow, but I'm more accepting, I'm less judging myself. And from this place, I can also accept more other people and be there for emotionally for other people and work with them from this place, from a really deep connection of emotions. And from this place, we can connect to people and move forward much better. And the last thing that it impacts us is in the work performance. As we're acting out of mindfulness and presence, we actually increases our ability to be much more focused, much more productive, and actually to be in the mental state of the flow experience. And actually, this is my vision for leaders that I'm working for, from the workplaces, for employees, to work out of, to be in the peak performance, in the flow state of mind. What does it mean? It means that when we are acting, we're really present with what we are doing. We like lose time, feeling of time and space, and we are really concentrating on here and now. And at the same time, we're really focused, productive, and we really enjoy what we are doing. We are fulfilled from the activity itself. And this is the flow state of mind that we all aspire to be in. And once we embrace the mindfulness and be present and balance the doing with the being, with the ability to pause and act through our being, we can much more enjoy our day-to-day, be more productive, more creative, and succeed better with our jobs and navigate in our life. So this is actually my talk for today. This is the summary. I will close the sharing of the screen, and then we can open it for questions.
All right. Thank you so much. And yes, you can please, participants, please share any questions you may have. And while folks are thinking through that, first of all, I'd like to thank you, Keren, because that practice was incredible. And given the time it is here in the United States, I know I'm going to sleep very well. So,
It's good before sleeping.
Yeah, but it was really great to the focus on the different parts of the body, right? And to really bring your awareness there, because as you mentioned, it all begins with awareness. And then what I have found over the years is that the practice is what really kind of helps you along the way. The more you practice, the better your awareness and the more those outcomes. I have a question for you. Obviously, I'm a believer in all of this. And as you mentioned, there's a very big shift, right, that's happening in terms of how different generations of leadership are approaching things. But there's still a lot of folks out there that come from a much more, from a very different perspective. And I would suspect that both in going out there and speaking to prospects and to organizations, and even as you go in and start to work with leaders, there must be challenge or pushback. And then I would suspect that there's a shift, right, as they start to practice. So I'm curious to get your thoughts on that, what you face and how you approach that.
How you engage them, actually, the cynical and the.
So what is out there that what kind of pushback do you get, and then how do you overcome that?
To be honest, to bring mindfulness to the workplace, I see it as an invitation. You can't force anybody to embrace the mindfulness piece, because you need to take it deeper and to work with it. So usually when I come to the workplaces, I start with an exposure lecture, talk, something like this, to show them that there's a lot of research beneath this practice, that it's really beneficial for them, because we are really, I want to know what's in it for us. If we don't have time nowadays, right, to waste our time on sorry but bullshit. If it doesn't serve me, I won't use it. So I'm really coming from the practical aspect and showing them the benefits of it, the ability to create the mind agility we all need it nowadays, to increase our ability to be more attentive, to be more focused, productive. So once I come from this state of mind, there's the skeptical ones, but they're listening. And usually also, as I did here, I facilitate a meditation, because it's not enough to understand it from our mind. We need to embrace it in our body. And usually after this exposure meditation, and I see another question here that Diana asked, and it connects to what you asked, how do we start to include the mindfulness concept into the organization? So I'm taking it together. And then I actually invite them to a course, but it must be an invitation. Like now 15 people who want to embrace in this journey of mindfulness leadership and get these tools. And then we started practicing the meditation in part of the course. And for your question, then they started to open up, because when we practice the ability to pause and get out of our thoughts and our minds, something is opening right in the space within themselves and in the space. And it's an interesting process to see the way they open to this and they embrace it. And usually when the course is over, they're sad about it, because they feel different. They get to different tools and create different language. We actually create a new language in the space. So it's a process, also by invitation. And also when I'm working with the team building, management teams. So I always come, from the process of understand it rationally and gaining, and calling them I'm selling them the benefits. And once they understood the benefits, it's much more easier to let them feel it and then invite them to continue the journey. So, so for your question, nowadays, I think people are less resistant to it because, it's got to be more common in the workplace. And people, I also see that there are always agents in the workplaces that embrace it by themselves, that they practice by themselves. And they can be the change agent that you wish them to be in the company. So, for the other question, like in my book, I interviewed Scott Chad, that he was the head of mindfulness and compassion in LinkedIn. And he actually, his story is really interesting because he was a VP of customer success in LinkedIn. And he started practicing he has his own practice for 20 years. And then he came to the HR manager and asked him if he can lead a mindfulness session, a meditation session in the company. And she said, sure, you can do it. And he told me, as she told me, I was so scared. I vanished for 6 months. I didn't do it. It scared me. And after 6 months, I saw her again. And now she again asked me, do you want to lead a meditation? I said, okay, now I will. And he told me, I started by leading a meditation. And there was one person. I don't know who was scared more, he or him or me, but I went through it. And it went on, and people engaged with him, and, he crafted courses. And there was a point that he came to his manager and told him, look, I want a new job description. And they tailored him to be a head of mindfulness and compassion in LinkedIn. So you see that there are also source agents in the company and outside of the company. So we need to connect with them also.
Yes. What I love about that is that, well, first of all, there's so much going on there with having the courage, even at a senior level, right, to show up authentically in terms of leadership. But not only is that, I see that person being an ambassador, but also leadership walking the talk, right? And so when you see leaders at a senior level being vulnerable, right, and being courageous to say, this is important, this matters to me, and now I kind of give you permission, right? It's almost like I'm giving you permission to try it and to take the space. I think that's wonderful when that happens.
Yes, and it's also an invitation. You can really find the change agent. I'm working a lot with the corporate world, so after we facilitate in a course, we find that the change agent want to continue it in the workplace, and you can put it like, okay, on Monday, 8 in the morning, we have a meditation. Whoever wants to join is invited. So you're starting to create a space within the culture of the company, and people are joining. This is what happened in Checkpoint when I facilitated courses. They afterwards decided to have a meditation meeting at 2:00 after lunch, and they find the room, and whoever wants to join, they joined and put a meditation recording, and they meditated together. So, it started. It's like a stone that you send to the river and it creates ripples. This is the way you embrace the mindfulness nowadays. This is how I see it in the workplace.
I love it. I'm glad that we're seeing so much more of it, and we know we need to grow it even more exponentially.
That's for sure. And we're in the process in the good way.
Okay. I don't see any other other questions coming through. I think you have your information up here. Did we give the information for your book? Is it Wisdom to Lead?
I know the book is Mindfully Wise Leadership, The Secrets of Today's Leaders. Okay. So you can find it on Amazon, on Barnes and Nobles, all the websites.
Okay, wonderful. Sounds like a great read. All right. Well, I think we're good. Thank you so much. This was fantastic. Very much enjoyed it. Very much finally getting to have this session with you. I think we spoke the first time a couple months ago. And so much has happened in the world. So especially, for those that may not know, Keren is in Tel Aviv. And I know you're doing a lot of work over there also to help people be able to somehow ease and cope.
To cope with this challenging and unresting times. So yes, we expose them to the mindfulness piece and practice together, and show them how we can find an anchor in this really, really sad and challenging times. So it's really a good tool for us, and hopefully will have it more in the workplace, in the world, right? We need more compassion and in action.
Hey, thank
Yes, you
you, Charlotte, and thank you, Karen. And I just want to say, sending you wishes of love and peace and safety to you and all of your loved ones over there at this time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. And
Thank you.
see you all soon. Take care. Have a good sleep, Elder.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Oh,
Good night.
Bye now.
especially now. Bye.
Bye bye.